Hey, what's going on, beautiful Jellyfish? It's Tracy, and today I'm going to be doing a video on modern updates for March of 2018. I don't even remember the last time I did a video on modern updates because I haven't played modern in a while, but with the move and all this stuff, I'm like, I am ready to get back into the format. So pretty much what I did yesterday is Paul and I played like a ton of games. I mean, we had to stop at some point because we like had to eat food, and then we went and played more Magic actually after, so we returned back to playing Modern. And basically I originally told you guys that I was brewing up in Esperless, and I was so excited to do that. And honestly, I was trying to think of ultimately what pushed me into making a Grixis control build, and it's a couple of things. Listen, there are some really satisfying blue-white cards, and black cards, I mean black's in here too, but like there's some really satisfying cards that I've cast and that I don't get to cast in this deck. And to be honest, that will always kind of be a deck of mine, and I think honestly if I do build a version, I think it's just going to be blue-white. I don't necessarily know if I want to like tri-colored control decks. I think I'd rather just do blue-white because I really enjoyed playing that a lot when I did that, and that way I can just do, you know, other things and whatnot. But anyways, so I've kind of pushed myself back into Grixis. It's a deck that I'm familiar with. I played Grixis in 2016 for about like a couple of months and just really enjoyed it. And then after Grixis is when I like officially put Modern away. It had nothing to do, I loved playing this deck. Obviously now that the deck has changed with cards coming in, you know, in and out and all that kind of stuff. But I have to say I kept pretty strict, I would say, to my old list. And funny story, I didn't actually have my old list up, which I'll list both in the down bar below if you want to check them out. Like I said, the first one, my original list, that's going to be obviously older and not include some of these cards because they're a little newer. Actually, all the cards that I'm talking about, I'm only doing one like new card, and that's Jace, but we'll talk about him. But I changed a couple of things around, but I have to say I kept pretty strict to it. And I have to say, guys, my original Grixis list, I was really happy with it. And I actually spent some time, I always, what I like to do, and this is one way I would say brew up my list, is I always look at like a ton of other Grixis control lists. Even if it's a variation, like even if it's like Grixis Delver, like I still look at the list and I just like to look at like what other people are doing, and I'll pull cards and be like, oh, I forgot about that card, like let me throw it in here. And one thing too that's actually really helpful for me to do is to see what cards people aren't running. And I know that sounds like kind of a weird thing, like why do you care about what cards people aren't running? Because it kind of reassures me that like, okay, maybe I'm not the only person who's crazy, like maybe I'm a person out there who's like, I'm not really a huge fan of this card, I don't think I want to run it. One card, for example, that I actually didn't see on a lot of people's lists of Grixis control, which to be honest totally surprised me, is Collective Brutality. And this is a fantastic Magic card, and I was really honestly surprised to see a lot of these Grixis lists not running it. And I actually had, when I was brewing it, I was kind of, you know, testing stuff out and whatnot, and I decided to nix my one copy of it, and I was even thinking of bumping it up to 2. I decided to ultimately cut it, and I think if you're doing like a deck like that runs like Tassikers and who's the other guy? Tombstalker or Gurmag Angler, like a more Thought Scour version of Grixis, I think that card works so much better. Like Liliana, the Veils, like if you're doing something like that where you care so much about your graveyard, like I care about my graveyard in this build. Like obviously I'm still running Snapcaster Mages, and I'm running Risefall, and you know, like Risefall, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but you know, like yes, I care about my graveyard, but it's not like I'm trying to get stuff in it. Like yes, I run Tassiger, and listen, casting Tassiger early on is great, but like ultimately, like I'm worried about like more the mid-range. Like I'm worried in the early stages of like getting the board under control, and then I like to play my stuff. Listen, like casting turn 2 Tassiger is great. Like I ended up cutting Thought Scours as well, which I just didn't have room for them, and that was in my old list, and it worked great in my old list, but it's just not something I think it could really justify now. I wanted cards that were a little bit more proactive, and yes, it drew me a card and milled, which was super helpful, and I could also target my opponent, which was great, and I've totally done that, especially with like Serum Visions. You were like mill, you know, or any card where you knew what was on top of their deck and you had them mill. That was really great, but it was just not something I could find room in here, unfortunately. I want to talk about a couple of things because honestly, if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I'm like the queen of spice and I do janky things because it's my life. So what I think I really liked about it too, even with looking at a lot of Grixis lists, is that there really isn't a set list, which I love. I love that it's so open, and there's, you know, there's some cards that, you know, other people are playing that I'm not playing and vice versa, but there's some really cool things that I want to talk to you guys about. That card I actually had on my old list, so I'm not really going to talk about that card, but let's talk about Rise Fall. And this is a card that I played with in my old list. I think I ran 2, and this card is so underrated, and it is incredible. Honestly, if you're even if you do this in like a sideboard, like guys, this card is like incredible. So it's 2 mana, so you return target creature in a graveyard and target creature in play to its owner's hand. So this card is really fantastic because you can target your own creatures. Most of the time this is with Snapcaster Mage, but honestly sometimes someone like kills your Tasigur and you want it back and you can just rise it, which is great. And you get to like bounce something. And that's like really good. So for 2 mana, getting to do both of those things, and the whole color thing probably shouldn't really be an issue. And then the fall part is target player reveals 2 cards at random from your hand and then they discard them. So it's a little bit of a discard outlet as well. This deck has, you know, the discard, it doesn't run as many, I think, as it did before, but it definitely runs a handful. I'm having it as the one of, if it ultimately is not working and I'm really frustrated with it, I'm probably going to nix it and replace it with something else, like such as a counter spell. But to be honest, I think I've played with this card before and I know it works really well, so it's going to keep, it's going to be in the deck for now. So that is that. Another card that I actually went back to that when Paul and I played tested, we played like 20 games yesterday. Like we played like a ton. And I actually decided to put Electrolyze back in my deck. And funny story, I think I had this in my deck, my old original list, and then I think I actually was going to take it out. I decided to put it in here for a lot of reasons, because I felt like I needed more card draw. Now, typically when people think of blue, they think of Cryptic Commands. Now, I have said this before, but I don't like Cryptic Command in triple color decks. One day, if I do ever decide to build a blue-white list, I'm going to be running Cryptic Command in that list. However, I don't like Cryptic Command in triple color decks. And I think, too, like, I have a lot of red, I feel like, in this deck. And I think my colors actually spread out pretty evenly, which I have to say. I mean, as of just right now with how I have the builds. So I don't ultimately know about I'm not definitely going to not run that card, but with Electrolyze, I decided to run it because I wanted that little bit of card advantage. This card's really good against a lot of different decks because it does 2 damage to anything. It's pretty good against Jace, I would have to say, because you can always like do the 2 damage to Jace, which is great. Because I know that's something I'm obviously going to be concerned about in this build, is how am I dealing with Jace pretty much in my main board, not even counting sideboard. Sideboard's a totally different story because I run like Pithing Needle for that, let's be real here. And Pithing Needle amongst other things, and like other counter spells, but yeah, it's really good to fight against Jace. It's really good against Affinity. It's so good against any type of deck, to be completely honest. It's really good. Sometimes you do that to the damage to the face, which is why I also really like this card, that it doesn't specifically say creature or player. It's both. And also you get to draw a card from it. Electrolyze is really sweet. I think it really is good. Right now, originally I was on the fence in my original list, like I had it and I was like, is this good? I can't tell. I do think that's what this deck ultimately needed. Oh, I should have said this before, I'm super sorry, but oh yeah, I think I did. Both of the decks will be listed in the number below on Tapped Out if you want to check them out. Just as more like visual representation, I totally get that. Okay, another spicy card that I'm throwing in here that I don't know about because I've never actually run this card in my main board, and that is Counterflux. This card, listen, guys, I understand that 2 mana counterspells are like, 1 or 2 mana counterspells are like the thing. However, unfortunately, there's just not a lot of them that hit a variety of stuff. Yes, Counterflux is 1 more mana. Yes, I get that. Yes, it's double blue and it's red, but it can't be countered. So good against Jace, so good against other blue decks, which I know I'm going to be running into. Good against literally anything. And then it's got Overload, so it's just really good against like everything that like dumps their hand on the board. Overall, I really love this card. I'm totally gonna see, this is kind of like a flex slot right now, I would say. I don't really know how what's gonna come of this card and if I end up keeping it or what I kind of do, but right now it's the Counterflux and I'm holding pretty strong to it. I think it's a really fantastic card. Okay guys, I've been hinting at Jace and a little bit in the video, and guys, like, worth it. He's incredible, and I've always known that. I've always been like, yeah, Jace is really fantastic, but getting the opportunity to play with him, this is my first time playing with him, and he is nuts. Oh my goodness. Looking at the top card of any player's library, you know, you do that for yourself, you do that for your opponent. Really great. You have that access to information, and you do know what is on top of their deck, so that's like really good. And then you can mill it basically if you don't, I'm sorry, not mill it, but you can put it on the bottom if you don't want them to draw it. One thing you would just be careful is if when you're playing against it, just make sure, you know, if you see they have a fetch land or something, just be wary of that. His 0 is Brainstorm. Like, come on, it's amazing. Absolutely love that. This with fetch lands is so amazing. Oh my gosh, because you just like draw through, you're like, I don't want these 2 cards, and then you fetch away. Like, oh, like living the dream. It's so sweet. Bouncing a creature for his -1. I can't tell you how useful the -1 has been. Like, I was playing against Paul, he has Death Shadow, and like I just kept bouncing his Death Shadow because I was trying to draw like a Terminate or something, and just Jace, if they have 1 creature and you keep bouncing it until you've like 3 turns, that means. And that doesn't even include like the extra cards that you can draw off of like other things in your deck. So if you like, you have so many chances to basically draw an answer pretty much. And then his minus, I mean, I haven't gotten the chance to do his ults, but obviously it's great. You exile all cards from target player's library and you shuffle the hand into the library. Like, total game changer. Like, if you keep upticking that Jace, like, and your opponent's just gonna scoop up their cards. Like, there's probably not a way that they can come back from that. So he's worth the hype. He's worth the money. He's so great. I am so happy that I had the opportunity to play with him in this deck. He's definitely added a lot, and a lot of what this deck really has needed with that extra card advantage, with that Brainstorm ability, and even the first ability, you know, having that, I mean, it's not really like advantage, but it's like scrying and, you know, having that, knowing what's on top. So, okay, then we have, I am saving the best, I would say, for kind of last. 2 more cards I want to really focus on, or highlight, I would say, in the deck, and that is, first off, is Ashiok. Guys, I really can't express to you how much I love Ashiok. And, you know, it's funny, is I ran Ashiok in my original list, and I think I took it out. I think I was originally running 2, but I can't remember. And I decided to just keep it at the 1. She's kind of a flex slot right now. She's a really great sideboard card. She's a good card too for if I don't really know what to take out. I may just take out an Ashiok if it's not really great in the matchup. I mean, the thing is she's kind of always good. Yes, it does work better against creature decks, but guys, like, just exiling cards from their, like, library, like, that's incredible. Especially what's so good about Ashiok is, like, you want to control the board, so, like, there's no creatures on your opponent's side of the board. So you try to kill their creatures, meanwhile you keep Ashiok and you just keep upticking her. And yes, potentially you can get to the point where you exile cards from opponent's hands and graveyards, and that's really incredible. But you keep upticking her and then you just get a creature, and then you can just start swinging with that creature. Like, she's really good if people leave her unattended, pretty much. And what I really like about her is, I feel like, you know, Pithing Needle, like I said, I think is going to be a really big answer to Jace. And if someone does Pithing Needle, and I'm sure people are going to Pithing Needle choosing Jace, Ashiok can be another win condition. She's not always, you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't always do that. You know, sometimes she really just exiles things, and that's really helpful and really great. Sometimes you can get her ult off, and that's really devastating. She's only 3 mana. She does a lot of different things. I really love this card. If at the very least, if you're running a Grixis list, I would really consider her for your sideboard. She's good in a lot of different matchups, to be honest. And I think that's what it's really all about, is finding cards that really hit in a variety of different matchups. Okay, I saved the juice for last because, let's be honest here, guys. Okay, Keranos. You can pry this card from my Cold Dead Lifeless hands. Like, I will, in every version of these colors, I will forever run Keranos in the main. You know what? You won't see this in other people's lists, guys. You won't see it. You may see it in, like, sideboards. When Twin was a thing, you would see Keranos in the sideboard. That was really big. But, like, guys, you can't kill him. He just stays on the board. Like, I'm honestly trying to think of cards that deal with him. I know there are cards that deal with him, but like, I can't think of that because I think of like the major cards, like removal cards. You can't double bolt him. Guys, he's not going to be a creature. Like, I'm just saying that. Like, the likelihood of him being a creature is so slim, and that's fine because you don't want him to be a creature because people could path him, and so you don't want that. So that's like one thing. They can't double bolt him unless he's a creature, which they can't even do that because he's indestructible. So you're pretty much only looking at exiling. So you're pretty much looking at a specific exile enchantment. Who runs those things? Exile enchantment? What? People do not see this card coming. Literally, Keranos is impossible to kill. He's card advantage stapled onto sometimes a lightning bolt. You've got like a 50% chance, or I guess less than a 50% chance of him being, or more than a 50% chance, sorry, of him being a lightning bolt because you have more non-lands in your deck than lands. And then if it's a land, you get to draw an extra card. Like, what is this? What is this? I can't even, card is just busted. Busted, busted, busted. This throws so many people off, and again, they just can't deal with him. It's just, I wish I could run 2 of this card, but like, if I always think of in the situation where, because it's a legendary, if I had 2, it'd be really awkward. I guess I have ways of pitching it away. Like, I have ways of pitching it with Jace and like with Tassiger and stuff, but like, you know, I don't know. Yeah, but so anyways, so that was kind of the deck, but anyways, I'm really pleased with how things are turning out with the deck. Like I said, there's a lot of flex stuff, there's a lot of stuff I'm really, not a lot, but there's some stuff that I'm still not sure about, but I mean, I think that's with everything. You know, there's not going to be 100% guaranteed, like, decks are always going to be changing pretty much, just to kind of see, but so far, I'm really pleased with the deck. I actually just changed these things up. I'm going to do some gold fishing, actually, after I film this video, and just kind of see how the deck plays out. But, yeah, miss this deck, miss these cards, missed Modern, missed talking about it so much. So, really looking forward to it. In terms of where I see myself going with it, I would say is, I actually first have to get the rest of the cards. I do have, I would say, I don't want to say half of the deck, because I actually don't know how many cards I have. I actually have most of the sideboard, which is good, or attempt sideboard, you know, I need to get some more cards for it. But, I have a handful of cards that I can use for the sideboard. I do have some cards. The biggest expense I think that I have to get in this deck is the Jaces. I am actually going to be, I'm not too sure when this video is actually going up, but I'm going to be getting a box. Paul and I are splitting a box of Masters 25. It'd be super cool if I opened up like a Jace in there. That would be awesome, but if not, I'll get some trade fodder with that, which means I can hopefully trade for a Jace or buy a Jace or something. Those are kind of the big things. I have a lot of cards packed, like my Snapcasters are packed. We have like another Tassiger that I need, which I know we have, so I don't have to buy that. And then I don't know if we have some more fetches. I don't really know, honestly. I can't keep up with what cards, because we have magic cards. Even though we don't have all our magic cards here yet, like some of them are packed still, like they're just, the cards are everywhere. Like, I have to do a major like organization once the movers come of like how to organize everything, because there's just going to be magic cards everywhere and I have to make sure they're all nice and neat and stuff. So but yeah, guys, that was it. I hope you guys liked this video on Modern updates. I definitely want to keep you guys posted on like what's going on and like how I like the deck and stuff once I get the chance to really play with it more. We do, at my local game store at Mage's Sanctum, we do FNM on Fridays, so I'm definitely going to check that out once I get all the rest of the pieces to this. But I'm going to definitely be practicing it a lot more. I'm going to be gold fishing it. I'm going to be like, Paul, play Magic with me like all the time, because I want to get really good at this deck. I mean, like I said, I already pretty much know the cards. I know what they all do, you know what I mean? It's just a matter of like playing with them more. So that is it. I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.